Crypto was supposed to decentralize finance. Now community banks are fighting not to be left behind. Now banks are fighting for a seat at the crypto table. And that tells us something important about where digital finance is heading. When Bitcoin launched in 2009, the vision was clear: create a financial system that operates without traditional intermediaries. No banks, no centralized gatekeepers, no reliant legacy financial institutions. Crypto was framed as an alternative to Wall Street. But nearly 2 decades later, something unexpected happened. Instead of replacing traditional finance, crypto is increasingly being absorbed into it. Today's major institutions like JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Morgan Stanley are actively building crypto asset businesses through ETFs, custody services, tokenization projects, trading desks, and blockchain settlement systems. The debate is no longer whether crypto matters. The debate is who gets to participate in the infrastructure being built around it. And that's why seemingly small law in Minnesota matters. In 2026, Minnesota passed legislation allowing state-chartered banks and credit unions to provide cryptocurrency custody services. In simple terms, local banks can now hold and safeguard digital assets and private keys on behalf of its customers. At first glance, this sounds like a regulatory update. It's actually a competitive survival story. Community banks have spent decades competing against Main Street and much larger financial institutions with much more capital, more technology, and more resources. Historically, local banks survived because they offered something different: trust, relationships, local knowledge, community presence. But digital finance changes the equation. If crypto custody, tokenized assets, blockchain payments, and digital wealth management becomes standard financial services, banks that can't participate risk becoming less relevant over time. And that's the deeper signal. The fear isn't crypto. The fear is irrelevance. What's particularly interesting is that the law focuses on custody, not speculation. Minnesota isn't turning community banks into crypto exchanges. It's allowing them to do what banks have always done: safeguard assets, manage trust, provide financial infrastructure. Because despite crypto's anti-bank origins, most customers still prefer trusted intermediaries, aka people. The average person doesn't want to manage private keys, cold storage, security protocols, and self-custody solutions. They want someone they trust to handle it. And that's where community banks may have an advantage. Many local banks have spent decades building it, but the larger story extends far beyond Minnesota. Across the United States, dozens of states are introducing digital asset legislation covering custody, stablecoins, consumer protections, and crypto-related financial services. That suggests we're entering a new phase of crypto adoption. For years, the question was, will crypto survive? Today, the question is, how will crypto integrate into the existing financial system? And that's a completely different conversation. The first phase of crypto rewarded builders creating alternatives to traditional finance. The next phase may reward institutions that successfully bridge traditional finance and digital assets. XRP. Which brings us to the real takeaway. Minnesota's law isn't really about crypto, it's about participation. Every major technology transition creates new infrastructure: railroads, the internet, mobile technology, artificial intelligence, digital assets may follow the same pattern. The institutions that gain access to critical infrastructure early often capture disproportionate value later. The ones that wait for certainty usually find themselves playing catch up. And that's why the most important question isn't whether crypto wins, it's who gets to help build the system that supports it. Because the future of digital finance may be determined less by the assets themselves and more by the institutions positioned to store, secure, and manage them. And increasingly, community banks don't want to watch the future happen from the sidelines. They want to get in the game and start playing. You know what I'm talking about?